Good afternoon. Welcome to Innovation Seed, the Digital Nomads. What do they say? The last digital conference of this year in this form. If you're watching this on live stream or the replay on Innovation Seed YouTube channel, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Welcome and enjoy. What a year has this been? It's been quite the year. My word of this year is transformation. I'm going to repeat that again, transformation. Did you notice we are living through a pandemic? We are all dealing with it in our own way. People are transforming, work is transforming, and even governments are transforming. Since March, my life has been transforming tremendously. I feel like I've been living like a digital nomad, traveling from one cafe to the other, from one office to another, typing and planning and organizing digitally with people from all over the world, from Curaçao to South Africa to Holland to the States. And for sure, I've read a lot more about them, these digital nomad thingies. The term has crossed my eyes in news articles, Facebook posts, government discussions, etc. There are even new laws being made, especially for them in Asia and in other Caribbean islands. They have been applauded for their courage to live a different lifestyle, and they have been the lucky ones when it comes to work opportunities, because they were sort of prepared for what is happening on many work floors right now, where people can't visit their office anymore. Yet, there are also many downsides that we are many times don't talk about or don't see. As Innovation C, we talk and support about innovation in many ways. What is so innovative about working remotely? That was what our first conference was about. Why is it important to be independent of an office floor? What do we need to evolve into this new acceptance of working from anywhere, anytime, especially on Curaçao? Do we need a boss? Or do we need a 9 to 5? These are all topics for discussion. What socioeconomic benefits can we, as an individual and as an island community, create with these new adaptations to the new normal? Innovation is having a conversation with ourselves and how we can improve our vision of our future, how unexpected that future might seem. Daring to do something different, daring to take a leap of faith and trying something new, or changing an existing habit, lifestyle, and improving it. Today, we talk to two individuals who did just that. Luigi Scotto from Italy, who washed up on our shores after traveling the world and found his mermaid here. And Jocelyn Pearson, who took the leap in just 8 weeks and left her home country in the USA to start an adventure in Curaçao with her husband and pup. You can read her blog on our Facebook page. Why Curaçao? What do they do? How do they experience our island, and what do they miss? Let's ask them and join a roundtable with Tatiana Cecilia at the end, who will share her experience from the Netherlands to Curaçao as well. We will have a special announcement for our Curaçao community who live abroad and who want to contribute to the future of our country. But first, let's take a moment to tune in. Some tips for an even better experience. Diana Cecilia is my co-host and moderator today, so she will help me with some slides. If my connection stops, she will take over. Some tips for an even better experience: turn off notifications of your phone so you can focus on speakers. Use a headset or earpiece to avoid getting distracted. Feel free to communicate in the chat section, but don't share private information, please. If you have a question that you want answered by the speakers, ask it in the question tab and we will do our best to address it in the roundtable. Be respectful. We don't have to agree on everything, of course. Now, before we continue with our first speaker, I'm just going to open our program for today so you can just have a little look at that. Of course, the intro by me, Andrew Andy Kirchner. Our first speaker is going to be Luigi Squotto. After that, followed by Jocelyn Pearson and the Digital Roundtable, together with Vianna Cecilia and Luc Weber. With that being said, I think we're ready for our first speaker. Welcome, everyone. Please introduce yourself in the chat session. Kimberly, thank you for being there. Luigi, please come on stage. We're having a lot of students from the University of Curaçao today as well. Welcome, everyone. Luigi, welcome.
Hello, hello. Hi, Andy. Thank you very much, and welcome, everybody.
Are you feeling a little bit... Great to have you here. Are you a little bit nervous?
I'm good. It's always nice to see so many people together, and still, thank God to the technology that we can do it, because in this period would have been much difficult.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more boring without this technology. You're going to talk a little bit about this technology because you have a business in what was it? Smart
mobility.
Smart mobility. I'm very curious on what you're gonna tell us about it. I'm gonna give you the stage. Please share your presentation and go at it.
Yes, thank you very much. And again, welcome everybody. So my name is Luigi Squotto. Right now, I'm the CEO at ITS Caribbean Latin America. You know, the big question you ask yourself when you have a short time to talk, and in this case, it's 15 minutes. It's always about what's more interesting, you know, my past, how I arrived in Curaçao, in this case, why, what I did, what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to try to just summarize a little bit of everything and stop on what I'm doing now. So first thing I'm going to go, it's straight to the topic, digital nomads. I like to add more than just a Wi-Fi. And I'm saying that because I heard a lot of things, you know, and you still hear things like digital nomads, they don't help to the economy. I heard something that made me laugh a lot, but it's sad at the same time, they don't even buy a car. So, and you hear many of these things, but not Curaçao, but all over the world. I see digital nomads, for digital nomads, there are many things that are very important. And I'm going to list just a few. For example, as you can see here, cost of living, budget, community and network, safety, time zone, weather, visa, travelability, and many more. I mean, we can make a very long list. But if you see these short lists, you realize that there are some things that are subjective, but some can tell you a lot about the country. If you see budget, community, weather, yeah, those are subjective. Of course, if I can choose where to work, I will go in a place where the weather is a weather that I like. But if you look at other things like cost of living, that can tell you a lot of about the country. For example, if a country is not safe, that doesn't count only for digital nomads, but that counts for tourists and everybody else. Same example could be transportation and all different type of transportation modes. So this is something that I've seen now in the last couple of years. It's that countries are starting to attract digital nomads just like they do with tourists. Of course, there are always exceptions. But before I go into one of these points, and for you to understand why there is one of these points that is important to me, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. It is a long story. Believe me, it's a very long story, but I'm gonna make it as much short as possible. I came to Curaçao almost 8 years ago. And believe me, Curaçao has changed a lot in the last, in these last years. Before coming to Curaçao, I was living in Singapore. And during the almost 5 years in Singapore, 4.5, I spent a year and a half in Singapore traveling from place to place. I mean, mostly Southeast Asia, talking about every week in a different country, from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Taiwan, China, Japan, and many more. Before Asia, I was doing basically kind of the same thing, but in Europe. And I'm originally from Italy. And I started when I was 17. So I left home when I was 17. So you can imagine that I've seen quite some places all around the world. As I said, I've been here for almost 8 years. The reason why I came here is because just before I was about to leave Singapore and I was about to go to Australia, which was a country that I always wanted to go to visit, I met this wonderful woman, and instead of going to Australia, I decided to stay a bit more in Singapore. And basically, right after that, this woman was starting to plan to go back home, Curaçao, and she's from here. And what did I say? Sure, let's go. Well, but I can tell you that was not the easiest time of my life. But yeah, here I am, and this place is my home now. But what happens exactly when you actually stop in a place for a longer period and you try to settle down? It becomes at the beginning kind of a mess, at least in my experience. And the reason why is because you keep comparing. You're in Curaçao, and the first thing I do is keep comparing with everything I've seen before. And for sure, I will always find something better in one of these places that I visit or work or live. But that's not it doesn't help with anything. So it only makes things worse. So I started to leave again when I stopped comparing, basically, and started to look a lot about, the good things. So appreciate more the good things and understand the bad things, so I know how to live with it. And that's when I started to build up something, working on my own, creating my own business. And at that point, I had another challenge. And my challenge was, okay, I work in smart mobility. And so what exactly am I going to do here? For me, my opinion, Curaçao at that time was not really ready either to work or understand or do anything with the smart mobility. But yeah, no matter how many times you just want to give up, in the end, what is important is that you keep trying. So the first thing I started was creating collaboration with some companies abroad. So basically, I was working from here, I was working from home. I started, sometimes things went good, sometimes things goes bad. I took an office once, then I had to close it, then I had to open it again. So basically, it's about, keep trying it, and in the end, finding the right, the right path to follow. So I started making these collaborations with companies abroad and working with them on different projects. And also that became like a learning process. So I was learning more and more, working and collaborating with companies from all over the world. But today, things, of course, now a little bit different. Today, as I said, I'm working at the ITS, Caribbean Latin America. And basically, the ITS stands for Intelligent Transportation Systems. So since the beginning, the idea of the ITS was to create different platforms. So I'm talking about innovation platform, development platform, investment platform, networking, strategy, advisory, startup, students, which for me are always very important. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to talk about a few. With innovation platform, for example, we put together what we call challenges. So you are either a challenge maker or you are a solver. A challenge can be anything. For example, what's the best way to build this? Or I'm in the stage of making my prototype. How should I proceed? Or I need help with something specific. Or just finding new ideas. You'll be surprised how many companies around the world are just looking for new ideas. And the only way for them to get those ideas is by involving citizens, involving people that do totally different jobs. So because they just need new ideas. So if you are a solver, of course, you can respond to those challenges and provide with your opinion or your solution. And all these have, of course, prizes in mind. So this is the idea of the innovation platform that I started since I started with this business. It's almost a year now. The other platform, the development platform, it's more about our own solutions. So mostly focused on solutions that are made in Curaçao and that can be exported, of course. I believe that Curaçao definitely needs more of that, which can give a big exposure of the island. For example, right now we're busy with a prototype that built in Curaçao, and that this year was supposed to be exposed in Lisbon, Dubai, Singapore, and Las Vegas. So 4 major cities. And of course, due to COVID, that was not possible anymore. So hopefully next year that will happen. But of course, next to the fact of us bringing our own solution and something that we made, for me, it's very important that we let everybody know that that is being developed in Curaçao. And for me, that is one thing very, very important. And the other one is the investment platform. So this investment platform, basically, next to building our own solution, we also focus on bringing companies on the island. Not necessary for them to be established on the island, but companies that are in phases like in proof of concept or a prototype. And so in that case, and I say we because now the development bank that is a partner of the ITS, we basically can invest in those companies, we can finance them, we can help them with any resources they need. And that it's just for them to to complete or to finish their proof of concept or to have their prototype made, but here in Curaçao. So that is something that, for example, right now, we are busy with the company, European startup, and they are busy with a special system for security inside the vehicles. So always everything related to smart mobility. And this solution is going to be tested by a giant of automotive industry. So big companies that will be testing that solution made by a very young startup in Italy. This startup, basically, it's going to be making and testing the prototype here in Curaçao. Once they're here, they need local resources, of course, and everything will be done from here. Then after that, for us, it doesn't matter that they will go sell it somewhere else or they will bring it wherever they want. What is important for us is that they came to Curaçao. We, of course, made it as much easier as possible for them to get whatever they need to proceed with their solution to make it happen. But here they can find all the help they need. And believe me, there are a lot of things that are much easier to do here in Curaçao than in many other countries. So I believe that if, of course, we focus on making things much easier, also from a government perspective, I believe that there will be way more companies that would prefer and will be more convenient for them to come here and do their proof of concept or build their prototype here on the island. And we also have many, many people, companies that can provide different type of support. So I believe Curaçao really does have a lot to offer. So, but what I have to say is that using this platform, creating those platforms, of course, let me work with many people from all over the world. And I'm not surprised anymore that sometimes, in some cases, the most valuable person is someone that is sitting under a tree on the other side of the world. I mean, this is what I used to do before, and right now I see others doing the same for me. So it's not always about going to the big guys with big name that is the best solution, but sometimes you find things much more easier and also different somewhere else. So if I think about my experience in my past, so all the places that I've visited, there is always something that's to do with mobility. And that is why, for me, mobility it's everything. So it's all about mobility, because in all these places where I was living, I could see that there was like a different way that people move, a different way that the city is built, different infrastructure, different places, different environments, and different culture. So, but if you look at the city or at the village from a different perspective, you see that the way we move, it's something that is very important. So, but I'm talking about mobility in general. So not only when, let's say, moving from a place to place, within a city, within a village, from a village to village, from a village to a city, city to city, country to country, but also based on safety, traffic, infrastructure, and so on. So as you know, if I think about the experience and looking at from a digital nomad perspective, there are many things that makes it different when I look at the place where to go, or where I want to be, or where I want to work. Maybe even if it's for a short time, but it's a combination of many things. There is a reason why now you actually find it online pretty easy. There is a list of cities that are more visited by digital nomads. And if you go look at those cities, you understand, it's very easy to understand why these people choose those locations. So an example, if let's say we have a residential area here on the island that they're going to start building houses, 500 houses, or a big hotel, you immediately think, you should immediately think how people move. So how people are going to move from that point and to that point. How many cars you're going to have from that point or going to that point. Do we need public transportation? Do we need more transportation modes? So there are many things that should be there from the beginning, and most of the time cities tend to put the mobility a bit more like, let's think about that later, because now what is important is that we are making that that thing happen. So, but there is a lot of things happening. There are a lot of things happening together with that development, and a lot of things that we should think about from the beginning. So one thing that I would say in my case, the different I've seen in different cities, and one thing that I really wanted when I was traveling around, and of course didn't buy one car for each city or each country that I visited, was not just transportation or just the way to move, but the options I had for transportation. So the different type of transportation modes. So in my case, what I was happy to see in the city was, okay, I can move via taking the bus, I can take the subway, I can take the taxi, I can take just now Uber. So there are many modes of transportation, and that is for me one thing that really made a difference in the city. Of course, there are things that might be more important, like safety and security. But what made me feel really comfortable was about mobility and how many transportation modes were available on that place, on that city. Sometimes even a small island I've seen in the Philippines, those islands were just like so easy to move around, even though they didn't have that many transportation modes. But the way the island was built, or the way the houses were built, or where was the supermarket and where was the beach. So it seemed like that everything was thought of so that it becomes much easier for people, because they don't have a car, they just go with the bicycle or they walk. So that was very easy to go from one point to another, or places where you go more often. So it's not necessarily the city that, like Singapore, which I can say it's close to, maybe, it's actually perfect. But sometimes even in a small island, in a small place that is not very well developed, you can find those things done properly or done in a way that actually makes sense. So, and one thing I can see now is that if you look at cities, it's very hard to find a city that is very well developed, but it doesn't have a proper transportation mode or proper public transportation. So now it seems like if you analyze those cities, if you see the cities, you can easily see that the public transportation or the different type of transportation modes, they kind of match how developed is that country or that city. So this is basically the summary from the way I see things right now. So more of, from a business perspective. Now I run the business, so I see things in a way. Before, when I was just traveling around, I was looking at things in a different way. So you have like a very a little bit of an idea of what I do now and where I came from and where I started. If I can tell anything that can be helpful to students or anybody that is now traveling around or planning to travel and to explore but still work, please do so. Don't stop till you find something that is really good for you. Keep going, keep seeing new things, keep exploring, keep looking at new things, learn new things, see it from a different angle. And then I can tell you that, especially if you're from Curaçao and you're going abroad, when you come back, because you will come back one day, you will see things in a total different way. So with these I can close. If anybody has any question or wants to know more about anything, so now the time is pretty limited, but please send the questions, ask anything, and then we will be answering later, or I will respond into the chat. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Awesome, Luigi. I would like you to give 3 more presentations about several projects that you're involved in here on the island, because every time I talk to you, I learn something new, and it's always very interesting. I didn't even know you had traveled that much. I knew you had traveled a lot, but I did not know that you traveled that much. And your biggest wisdom that you said, I wrote it down: 3 digital nomads as tourists. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so true.
Correct.
It's
but
so
now
true.
It's happening. Slowly it is happening. You see it now in big cities, it is happening exactly like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is when we met at Curaçao Innovation Technology Institute City. I just knew I had to share. You had to share your knowledge on platforms. So I'm definitely going to ask you to come back again and again to discuss certain things. Before I'm going to continue to the next speaker, what is something that you absolutely love about the island?
So I think I started to love design the moment I understood that basically the difference between other cities or big cities, that actually here you can create whatever you want. You just need to believe in it. So you want to do it, you think you can do it, then do it, because here you can do it. I mean, you don't have that many limitations like you might have in big cities or in big countries. So here there is really a possibility to do a lot, and you have a lot. I mean, you can learn from so many people here on the island, where everybody thinks you are on a small island, so your resources are also limited. Yes, they are. It doesn't mean you have nothing. You still have something. So like now, if you need a technology company, I mean, how many technology companies we have on the island? We have quite some of it. How many people with a lot of experience we have here in the tech industry? A lot. So you can actually create whatever you want, and if you need help, you can find it here pretty easy.
Okay, awesome. I believe that as well. I think that as an island, we've always been some sort of pioneers, and I think we can become that again. And we're gonna discuss that at the round table. I'm gonna thank you for your presentation. Please stay close so you can join us in the roundtable conversation. For now, go breathe it out a little bit. Thank you, Luigi. Talk to you in a bit. So with Luigi removed from stage, it's almost time for Jocelyn. For the people in the chat, if you have questions, please don't be shy. Ask your questions right there in the chat or in the question part. Don't worry about interrupting the speaker. We will answer them at the round table. So please feel free to connect with them or with us, and we'll happily discuss that later. With that being said, Jocelyn Pearson, please come on stage. I met Jocelyn a couple of months ago now when she invited me to come to her office at the Curaçao co-working Peter Mai that I didn't even know existed. And I come in this section where I thought there were only banks. And then I walk into this very gorgeous, homey co-working spot. So again, thank you for inviting me there. And welcome to my stage this time. Oh, your mic is muted.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you were a second speaker for today. So you got all the build up for, oh, I need to speak later. Although I know you're used to it. Are you a little bit nervous?
I'd say Luigi set the bar pretty high, so maybe a little bit more now.
Well, for the people that haven't read your blog yet, you also have an amazing story, a little bit in a different direction, and that's exactly what I wanted to share, all the different kinds of stories as digital nomads.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give you the stage and let you do your bidding. And before, thank you for being here.
Thanks for
having me. Have a good
me.
presentation.
All right, so hopefully everyone can see my slides. So I apologize in advance, but I'm going to ask you some questions. I know everyone's been a little quiet, but I always love to just see who I'm speaking to, so that way I can relate a little bit better. So I would love to know who on here, you can type a 1 or a 2 in the comments, who is self-employed, so you put a 1, and who is employed, so you're employed by some other company. Thanks for the luck, Luke. Okay, let's see. We have self-employed, employed. Okay, we have a good mixture. Oh, great. We have a lot of self-employed on here. And I have no preference, but I wasn't sure. This is always helpful. And I have one more question for you after this. So while you're all doing that, or actually, yeah, we'll go to the next one. Okay, so we've got a good mix, which is probably 50-50. Fantastic. So the next question, you could type a 1, 2, or 3. 1 is you work remotely the majority of your time. 2 is you have to go into a physical location. And 3 is you have to go in physically, but if you were allowed, you'd probably be able to work remotely. And I would say before COVID, I think a lot of people were number 3, but we've learned that they actually could work regardless of location. Okay. Okay, we have a few that are tied to a physical location. All right, and you can keep commenting if you cut this a little later, that's totally fine. So the reason I ask this is because it's so interesting to me. Moving to this island, it was really such a limited idea around the ability to work from wherever. And I actually presented on it earlier this year, I believe, before anything COVID was coming out. And or maybe it was end of last year. And at that point, tons of people said, you know, I really think I could work from anywhere, but I'm not allowed, or for whatever reason. And I think that that's one benefit of COVID, is that a lot of people have moved into being able to work remotely, even if it's just part of the time. So for me, that was kind of my path, where at first I was in college. I had moved a lot. I had moved to and from cities for different internships and stuff. I had moved to Madrid. I lived in Madrid, Spain for a while. And then after college, I worked for a German company actually called Siemens. You may know them. They're like a GE. But I had to physically go in. And yet if there was a snow day, I had to work from home. And it was kind of like this thing where I was like, well, if I can work from home when I don't want to work, then I can work from home anytime, right? And so I had moved all over. I was from South Carolina to Dallas, Texas, to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Atlanta, Georgia, to Houston. So all over the country, back and forth. And when I was in Houston, my boss was actually in Chicago. So he was working remotely from home. And so I said, well, can I then, if you want, I can go into the office once a week or twice a week to meet with people, but can I work from home the rest of the time? And he said, yeah. And then 3 months after that, I said, well, actually home is Charleston, South Carolina. Can I move back? That's where my husband is, or at that time, fiance. Can I go back there and work from there? And he's like, well, is there internet? And I said, yeah, of course. And he said, okay, I don't care. And so that's all I needed, right, was internet. And so I moved back halfway across the country, and still there was no change in my job. If anything, actually, I worked later because I didn't have to drive home and avoid traffic and stuff like that. And so my first time working fully remote from anywhere was actually in the corporate world. But then after that, I actually ended up quitting my job and starting my own business. And so we finally lived in Charleston. And it's funny, I was in my mid-20s or however old, and I was almost at 2 years living in Charleston, and that was the longest I'd ever lived in some place in one city since I was 16 years old. And so I told my husband, we had talked about it before, that we would want to move international again in the future. But I told my husband, I was like, let me just hit the 2-year mark somewhere, because that's going to be a record. And in October, it would be my 2-year anniversary in Charleston, finally. But then in July, we got an email from someone saying that there's a job opportunity in this place called, what we thought was, Curacao. I know, I'm embarrassed to admit that. I did not even know where it was. We had to look it up on the map. We looked at pictures. We saw how beautiful it was. So this was July 19th. So so 3 months shy of my 2-year mark. And my husband was like, don't worry, I'm not going to even respond. And I looked at him and I said, I wonder if the dog could go with us. And he was like, wait a minute, you're seriously considering this? And I said, yeah, why not? Let's find out about it. July 19th was when we found out about it. My husband was down here by August 27th, and I was down here by September 12th. And the only reason it took that long was because I got stuck in the States because of hurricanes in the Caribbean. So I couldn't fly. So it was kind of the opposite story, where moving here, it was very fast. It was all in. We barely knew anything about the island. We had never even been here. We researched a few things like cost of living and stuff like that, which I'll share kind of what was important to us. But we sold everything and just kind of took the leap of faith. And we actually thought we'd be here for short term, but after a year, probably not even that long, we realized how much we loved it, and we were just sold from the beginning. And here we are now, over 3 years later, still in Curaçao. So moving here, it was a very quick decision. It was very rapid, but there were some things that we wanted to make sure. And some of the perks was, of course, first, my husband got a job. That helps us with the immigration side. That is one situation that's a little different for me. A typical digital nomad, if they just say that they want to move to Curaçao, it wouldn't be that easy beyond 180 days, because they'd have to get all their permits and stuff. So that is one limitation that I fortunately do not have to focus on because of my husband's job. But from there, it was, when we were discussing it, was, well, theoretically, I can do my job. I'll tell you more about my own working experience, working online now, my own business, in just a moment. But I said to him, well, in theory, that's why I started my own business, so I could have this flexibility to travel as I wish. And I did it short term, but I never really considered just picking up and moving. And so I said, well, this is what I should be able to do. Let's try it out. So the ability to work remotely, we wanted nice weather. We still wanted to have access to the States. So if needed, I could actually be back in Charleston by, pre-COVID times, by 1 p.m. So God forbid something happens, we could get back to our family if we needed to. And we, of course, also wanted to make sure that it was a similar cost of living or less. We didn't want to move to, say, Hawaii, where it was a big jump as far as cost. So, and then, of course, the culture, the weather, sports, hobbies. I'll show you some of our favorite things in just a moment, but these were all things that we were considering, in addition to just, do we even want to move in the first place? So as you can see, we decided it was worth it. And the reason I was able to do it and still work here is because of my business called the Scholarship System. Now, the Scholarship System is an online program where we teach families how to pay for college in the United States. For many of you, you may know that school in the United States is insanely expensive. There really aren't any options like what you have in Europe. And so I was able to get my college education paid for through scholarships, and that's what we teach students. And actually, we just tallied it up, and our students have received over $5.5 million over the years, which is amazing. I mean, it gives me goosebumps. we say that we redefine paying for college for families to help them build strong financial futures. So we really talk about how to do unique strategies, and that's where Debt Free Degree Lab came in. So we have really two products that we sell online: a blog, videos, all the stuff that's online, but we're fully 100% remote. Now it's funny because when we moved down here and when I work online and people will message me, hey, what are you doing today? You know, even if it's Monday at 11 a.m. when I'm working, I would say that this is probably what most people think I do. This is what they think working remotely looks like, you know, sitting on the beach with a drink in your hand and your laptop on your lap. And this was actually truly me working at Untitled Beach for a little bit. But for those of us that actually work remote, we know that this isn't quite sustainable all the time. So here is more so what it looks like. And so we have a team that is all around the world, actually, not even just in the US. They're all around the world. I'll show you a map, but we meet 100% virtually. I do nothing in person. And so that flexibility and freedom, I mean, that is how I'm able to work from here and make a living. And it's pretty amazing also if you think about it from a Curaçao economic perspective. I'm receiving money from the United States and I'm spending it here. So just the idea of digital nomads should be a high priority for the government here, because it's not just stimulating the economy, but it's growing the economy. It's bringing money that otherwise wouldn't have been in here. It's not actually receiving guilders and sending guilders. It's pulling in money that wouldn't have been in here. So that said, my team is all over the world, and I've actually even helped people here get online jobs, which we'll talk about some of the limitations. But you can see here, there again, we have some Canadians, United States, we have people in, let's see here, that was, I think was Costa Rica. We have, of course, me in Curaçao, Philippines, India, all over the place is our team. So it's just amazing what you can do remotely these days. So moving here, I think that one of the things was all of the times I've moved again so many times, and being a digital nomad or just taking a leap of faith and trying to move somewhere else and working remotely. I think the most important thing that we found is it's important to find a routine. And I found that every place I moved to was the routine was once I had that locked down, that's when it felt like home. So learning how you drive from where you live to where you're working, if you decide to get an office, or how to drive to the gym, or if you go to church, do you have a routine with that? For us, and you can see here, we had our dog was able to move down here with us. He was the best digital nomad pup out there. He's since passed away, but he absolutely loved Caribbean life. And you can see him there, mesmerized by the beautiful beach on the day that we arrived. But really, it was establishing the place we're living, our gym, and our routine. And that's really what we needed in order to make this place feel like home for us. Now, some surprises when we first moved here, my family, and I think Luigi kind of mentioned this about like transportation, but it's funny, even still, some people are so surprised that we have vehicles on this island. I think they think that we're just riding on bicycles with little bells along the shore all the time. And actually, even myself, when I moved here and when I arrived here, I couldn't believe the big roads and the traffic and the city. You know, it's a true city. So the other surprise that I found when I moved here was the heat. So like I said, we moved here right in the middle of hurricane season. My husband moved here right before it, and he was like, this place is so breezy, so windy. I could barely hear him over the phone call. And then when I got down here, there was not an ounce of wind. And I got down here and I was just like, where did we move to? And fortunately, it obviously went away. It was just that hurricane, I think Maria was going through, which was a terrible hurricane. So the heat surprised me. And then, of course, also, I think one of the surprising things when you arrive here, depending on which way you drive, is, you know, the dogs on the streets. Some of the places look a little poverty, well, there's poverty on the island. And so I knew to expect that. And you see that in the States too, but it's always upsetting, right? When you move somewhere and that's something you see, but at least there's ways to give back. So So the other thing about moving here and talking about the routine, one challenge with working remote or working on an island, especially, and working remotely, is staying disciplined. With such beautiful weather, 90% of the time, although it's pouring right now, I believe, but that's so rare here, right? Except for recently. I found it difficult to stay disciplined. I used to, even though I worked for myself on my own business, I would wake up and I'd be working by 8 a.m. And then sometimes I'd work until 5, 6, 7 p.m. because I was building my own business. But by the time I moved here, I already established my team and had more flexibility. And when it was so beautiful all the time, I really, really had a hard time sitting down and working. And so for me, I found a place. I needed an office, not necessarily for every day, but just for a few days a week where when I really needed to get something done, I could do that. So I also wanted, reliable internet. We can talk about that in a little bit. Somewhere that I could come and go whenever I wanted to, the flexibility in case I have to do a Sunday training or something. And I think we all can relate. One of the most important things of working during the day is air conditioning and no mosquitoes. So that was important to me too. I can deal with it a few days, but when I really need to concentrate, killing mosquitoes can get a little, it can be a little distracting sometimes. So I actually was renting from some friends and kind of squatting in their offices here on the island. And eventually I actually found a business partner with this building down in Peter Mai, which I'm calling you from now. And we opened it up and it's Curaçao co-working. And so this is now our co-working space. You can see there the flex space, beautiful murals, lots of colors and all of that. And so this was very important to me because I was able to make it the place that I was looking for to work from as a digital nomad. And then, like we heard earlier, we do have the Startup Huddle events where every month on the third Wednesday, we have a speaker come in where they do just a 6-minute pitch on their business, and then they ask the audience for help with a certain topic. So it's really an amazing initiative where it's very structured, 1 hour max. We provide free coffee. And even now we are, you can call in virtually until, of course, the cases go down. But this is a free initiative on the island that we just wanted to do, similar to this, to this structure where we wanted an excuse to bring entrepreneurs together. And so what do we love about the island? I just have this slide and one more. Well, a lot of people ask me what's my favorite between the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And of course, I'm a little biased. I always say Curacao is my favorite. But when I explain the differences, I always say, Aruba, you've got your party city, you've got bars, clubs, food, restaurants. It feels like Miami. So for those who want to leave the United States, but feel like you're still in the United States and have that ease, you can go to Aruba. Then you've got Bonaire, where it's really remote. You can go there for an amazing relaxation weekend and dive and all of this stuff. But for me, Curacao is the best because it's kind of a blend of both. It's got a perfect mix of great places to eat, great things to do, lots of hobbies, beautiful beaches, but it also has that business aspect of it. It has this aspect of it where we can do networking. And one of the things I loved when I moved here was seeing how many entrepreneurs were on the island, and more specifically for me, how many female entrepreneurs there are. I was very surprised by that. Coming from the South in the United States, it was a very heavily male-dominated world that I was in. I was in some accelerators where I was the only female in a room of 20 men. So I thought that was really incredible how this island promotes its females to lead as well. And of course, the beautiful beaches. TED Talk was just, that picture is just to show how awesome the networking initiatives here on the island are. And then of course, the community that we've built here. I think for opportunities, banking is a challenge. In the United States, if I want a new bank account, I can open it up in minutes. I've opened up ones from here. It's very simple. Here, someone just told me they have to open up a bank account, and all I said was good luck. It's a very strenuous process. And I would say banking / registering a business, it's a very costly, long process here, which can sometimes make it hard for entrepreneurs, but also for digital nomads. Internet quality is critical, right? So we have 100 megabytes per second at the co-working space, but at home, the only internet I can get goes out left and right. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's pretty terrible. I'll be on a call and it'll just drop. So the internet is a huge opportunity here if we really wanted to promote digital nomads. Visas and work permits, I kind of talked about that earlier, just the fact that, a lot of people are limited to 180 days. Places like, I think the Bahamas are giving people 6-month passes if they want to go and work from the Bahamas, since they can work virtually. So that would be a fantastic idea to do here. And then lastly, streamlining processes. I think this is most governments, but this morning I spent 3 hours. This is actually very near and dear to my heart right now. It took me 3 hours to get fingerprints, and also to figure out which office to go to and who to talk to. And it's just very disconnected and not streamlined. And I think that especially in the current situation that the government is trying to figure out ways to streamline its own self, I think that that is a huge opportunity. So, and these are things that as digital nomads, if we can just fine tune all of these, it just makes it that much easier to be a digital nomad here. And that's what we want, right? So the last thing is just for those of you that are watching this, if you want to come to the co-working space, my partner and I decided to offer a half off week pass, so 75 guilders, and you can come Monday through Friday as much as you want. So if you're interested in that, you can email me and we'll get you set up with that. And that's it. So you can follow us on Instagram. Our website is curaçaocoworking.com. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, let me know. But thanks so much for having me.
Good job, Jocelyn. A nice presentation. You brought some awesome points there. One of them that I loved the most is receiving money from the USA and you spending it here. Where do you spend it on most? That's what I want to know.
Ooh, rent. But no, we love going out here. I mean, things are limited now, but especially this year with less tourists, we've been taking advantage of so many of the discounts, Dolphin Academy, renting charters, whatever we can do to try to stimulate the economy. We've even rented houses here on the island just for a week to do a little staycation. So, and among, of course, donations, collecting food and stuff, but we've been very excited to have opportunities to give money to the island. And I just love all of the specials and opportunities that way. So we kind of treat it like a little bit of a tourist kind of fund, if you will.
Well, this has been a very unique period of time. I've experienced that myself. I just went away for a weekend to be a tourist on my own island.
Yeah.
And this is the time where you can go to a beach and there is no one there. So that's very unique. I would, before we're going to continue, I'm going to ask Rihanna to please come on stage, and of course, Luigi to please come back on stage. I saw a lot of new people join us in the conference. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So now that the pressure is off, Jocelyn and Luigi, I'm going to give you some time to breathe through this. Rihanna, you are also a digital nomad. I mean, your parents are from Curaçao, but you were born in Holland. You were raised in Holland. And now a couple of months ago, after a talk with me, you were convinced to come back to Curaçao. So how have these months been for you? Because this is not what you expected either, coming with a pandemic. But now here you are, running your business, Alta Services, and going through a pandemic. How has this been for you?
I have to say it has been great, actually, in a sense that, for one, back to Curacao. So as you already mentioned, my family is from here, so visiting and seeing my mom and spending time with my mom, that's great. I think business-wise, opportunity-wise, I think COVID opened the door for a lot of opportunities. So that's at least the way I feel it. And I think I did my presentation here in July, Andy, which I discussed also a bit of working virtually and the mindset that needs to come with it. That's one of the things that I see, that a lot of companies are now open to remote working, but really embracing the flexibility that comes with that, that's sometimes still a challenge. So they still sometimes, or at least that's the way I perceive it, still want to have this traditional employee wrapped in a remote kind of setting of working. So that's a bit challenging. Next to it, I heard in Luigi's presentation, in Jocelyn's presentation, I heard a lot of things that I actually noted down for myself as well. That's very challenging in a sense. So one is really my personal frustration is banking. So trying to open a bank account here is just challenging. That's one. So the concept of streamlining the processes, I think that's an important one. And more importantly, I think if we want to attract digital nomads, I think as a government or whatsoever, the people that we attract, we need to be more digital ourselves as well. So it's very difficult sometimes to find the information that you're looking for online. So a lot of things you still on island ask people, or I see a lot of Facebook groups that a lot of questions are being asked to get the right information. But in general, yeah, as Luigi already said, Jocelyn said, the island is great. Whilst being in a pandemic, I feel very relaxed, I have to say. And I feel at home.
Okay. Your connection just left us a little bit in the end there. I hope that everyone could still hear you. Luigi, you had some time to relax after your presentation. Is there something you forgot to mention that you want to bring to our attention?
I think Jacqueline covered very good points. Yeah, as I said, I mean, my case, I focus everything now on mobility because that's my job now 100%. But if we're talking about the island, I am pretty sure that, especially the points that she made are very, very important. So information is definitely something very important. We should be more clear. People need to get the right information. She spent 3 hours this morning to understand where to go and how to do something. I do that all the time. So now for me, it's more like, okay, I need to go, for example, the immigration to do something. I know that the first time I'm going just for me to ask for something, because I know that I'm going to go back again. Because the first time I go, what do I need for these? They tell me one thing, then I'm going the second time, they're going to tell me something else, or something has changed, or the person is different, or they had a bad day. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you should focus more on the service and not about yourself. I mean, that is the job, especially if we're talking about government offices. It's you are there working for the citizens, basically, not you as a person, but the whole, the whole office or whatever, the whole entity. You work for the citizens, and that's actually your job. So you should focus more on the service and not just on you as a person, what you know, what you don't know. You should be able to find a solution to help the citizen at that moment, no matter what is difficult to do or how difficult it is to do that thing. You are there to help the citizens, and that's what we need to focus on, more on the service. That's, I think, something that it's very, very important. It's still frustrating that after 8 years, for me, I still don't know how to do one thing, or I still need to go back there 3-4 times to make it happen. I mean, it's been 8 years. Every year I'm doing the same thing, immigration and these and that, the work permit and all this stuff. Every year I have to do it. And it's not normal that every year I have to struggle the same way every year. So that part needs to change. And the timing also is also very, very important. It's not possible for me to bring a company from abroad, for example, and that company wants to come here. They want to bring their money here. Let's go back to also what she said, bring money here from abroad and spend it here. So they come here with their money, and then I have to tell them, look, but open a company is going to take a year and a half. I mean, they go somewhere else and they open the company there, and they open the company in a couple of days. Mm-hmm. So why then they need to come here? So it makes also, in my case, my job way more difficult to actually convince them, to let them see the good part, which I can tell them a lot about the good things, but I also need to tell them the bad things. So we need to help. We need to, make that process much better. I've been waiting for a request of work permit for somebody that's been now, 8 months, 9 months. I mean, you imagine how difficult it is for the person that wants to come and work here, plan their life there. Should they quit the job? Not yet. Should they wait? Should they, start to move? Should they? So if they have family, they have kids. So what do? You start the school there, or you hope that you come in Curaçao on time to start the school for your kids? I mean, there are so many things that become so difficult. And so that part Curaçao needs to still improve a lot.
If I could,
please go ahead.
I was just going to add on something that I noted from this service. You mentioned service, and I would just like to stress it in another way. And I think that this has changed a little bit over the year with COVID. I think people are more appreciative here of tourism. So I think that it's changing a little bit, but I hate to say it, but when we went to Aruba, I don't care to go there because it does feel like Miami. But there's one very, very noticeable difference: the service. The attitudes of the people serving you and getting drinks, the bartenders, the hotel people. I mean, we were like, whoa, like this feels like the States. And here you just kind of get used to how it is. So I wasn't necessarily craving it, but when we went to Aruba, it was blatantly obvious that there was a difference. You didn't feel like you were inconveniencing someone if you were asking for an extra something or whatever. So I just think that, even outside of the government, I think overall, this island has been able to sustain itself without tourism technically because of the other industries. But that's changing a little bit, especially right now with the refinery and we're in a hard place. And so if people are going to come here and spend their money, I've unfortunately talked to Americans and said that they came here and they will never come back again because of service. So that is a huge opportunity as well. We want to leave them and me too. I think everyone that moves here, you start to feel like it's your island. You want it to succeed and you just feel so passionate about it. I've felt that way since the beginning. And I've tried telling them too. I'm like, just give it another chance, but that leaves a lasting impression. So I think that if there's anything, if people have employees or something, that's somewhere where even if it's like bonuses or something, I tip people a lot when they do great here because I want them to keep it up because it really does stand out.
That's something that's very important. We need to help each other teach people how to be more servicial. I'm very happy to see so many students from the University of Curaçao here because they are the future and they are probably gonna help educate many more. I want to ask Luc Weber to also come on stage because we're launching a special project, especially to sort of do that. We want to. Our island is an island of digital nomads, you could say, because many of us are exported to go study abroad, and many we don't see back, or we see them back very late in their lives. And we would like to see more and more come back in an earlier stage and help us get that service-minded mindset on the island. To do that, we are working on a special project, and that's also the reason why the conversation that I had with Luigi was very important when we were talking at CT, and why you, Jocelyn, is also very valuable with your co-working because you have a very unique position there. But I would love to hear from Luc what we as Innovation C can do to promote that for our future. What is it? Curaçao that went abroad and also our adopted Curaçaos that are sitting here in the chat.
Hello,
welcome, Luc.
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you, Celine and Luigi, for the awesome presentations. Although I'm not a digital nomad and I just recently left Curaçao, I still could relate to a lot of these things. And I think they're especially relevant now that the world is changing and people are reevaluating what it means to live somewhere. And I've seen more people looking for other places. They feel now more able and capable to move away from their home country or their home base, because I guess what they saw as the necessity to be there is not longer there. They don't need to physically be there anymore. And in the end, people love beaches. People love good weather. People love good food. I'm currently based in the Netherlands, and there are many days where it's just gray outside, and I was like, oh, wow, I wish I could go for a dive. But Over the past, I would say, almost 9 months, we have had many, many conversations with different people who either moved away from Curacao or want to move back, but are still waiting for that moment. And they always ask us kind of, what can we do? How can we help? Because everyone kind of knows that we're in this stage where we need to change, whether we like it or not. As an island, we need to, our economy needs to change, our mindset needs to change. And that's just an effect of the globe, the entire world is changing, especially now it's going extremely rapid. So over the past months, we started to brainstorm how we can help solve these challenges. And I'm excited to announce that we're launching today the Curaçao's Pioneers. It's a global community and talent pool of individuals living anywhere, so including Curaçao, but also in China, South Africa, the Netherlands, whatever, who want to commit to improving the socioeconomic state of Curaçao, and who also want to help local individuals and businesses to become more competitive and become globally relevant. So I'm going to share the link here, and I want everyone in the chat to go over there. You don't need to fill in the form now. It's a couple of questions that help us to match you with the right projects and businesses, or maybe match you with a coach or with a mentor, whatever you prefer. And then also we are creating a Facebook and LinkedIn group where all these pioneers can come together. We call you a pionero now because you're a pioneer at something. Everyone has a hidden talent, and we can come there together with the intention to help each other and together grow as a nation, as an individual.
Awesome. I think with that way, we can bring many talented people back to the island, and also help increase the people that are talented already on the island to shine even more. Because with a project with smart mobility, I'm not sure if you're allowed to talk about your special transportation project that you're working on, Luigi, but I think things like that are very important for us to show what's possible on the island. As you said, there are so many possibilities that we can create, and that's also why I wanted you to talk about that, so we can bring these people back to the island and show what we are actually capable of, instead of them all going to the US or to Holland, like Luke, abandoning us to live their dreams there.
And I think summarizing what Luigi and Jocelyn said, I think on the one hand, Curaçao has so much potential. We can really create whatever we want to do there together because it's so small and so connected, and we still have a whole ground to build. We can make our own cities, we can design our own ideas, and maybe combining that with the fact that anything is possible digitally now. I mean, I'm here in the Netherlands and I've helped a bunch with getting innovations started, and we're running into the same challenges, and of course, and also the remote challenges, but the amount of contributions that I can make to the island through the internet, it's just insane. And the moment you realize that you are just as relevant, even if you're not based in Curaçao, you can also help, you can also give your piece, and especially the knowledge and experience. Like being a pioneer, like you see things in the States, I see things in the Netherlands. Luigi went all over the globe. He has seen so many things. If we can pick the best things and bring them to Curaçao and create something out of it, I think our future is going to be wonderful.
Jocelyn, do you have a special fee for students to come work in your place? I mean, you work with more for the States for the scholarship system, but do you do something for students here in Curaçao that want to go study in the States?
So we focus on students that are U.S. citizens, but yeah, that's our specialty. I actually had someone reach out to me already asking if I can help athletes from here. That's just not my bread and butter at all. But if it's challenging for us, we focus on U.S. citizens.
Yeah. If something accidentally fits the bill, but it's difficult to take that on. Okay. Now the reason why I'm asking is because I know that there are a lot of students right now in the chat watching. So maybe there's some tips that we can give them to pay attention to. One, to get a scholarship in the US, or in the case of Luigi, the students are from the, if I say it correctly, tech entrepreneurship course. Luigi is working with smart mobility. He's working on a special bus stop that's coming soon with a lot of fancy high-tech stuff. So maybe we could work
Correct.
something out.
I
Yeah, for
guess
sure. I mean, for me, for example, also, for me, students are very important. I mean, I think they should be, in any project, no matter what, students should be there. So I totally believe that's something very important. I already started some conversation with university here for my projects. As you mentioned, the bus stop. So just to explain a little bit, now building this prototype of a smart bus stop. It's basically a smart stop, but everybody focus on what people do under the bus stop. Just to go there, take the bus, or having the screen that tells you where the bus is right now, or what is the next bus coming. Next to that, which is going to be also included into the bus stop, so getting all the information of the buses we use, and we want to see everything that is around the bus. So traffic analysis, human behavior, pollution sensors. So as much as we can. So this prototype is built 100% in Curaçao. Plus, once this is done, and hopefully in December we'll be able to actually put it on the street if everything goes well. But after that, the intention is first to test it here, of course, and to have it as a solution we can export. Also, we want to build more. So what we're going to do is once the bus stop is here and is 100% working, we want to see what more can be done on the island. For example, simple, the structure right now is coming from abroad. I mean, we couldn't make the structure here for the prototype, but we want to start that production here on the island. So we want to see who on the island, and maybe we're going to ask some help from Mayo to find the workers, and everybody works in that field, and maybe companies here can use alternative material. So we want to actually call everybody and say, okay, who can help us build these on the island? So it's going to create maybe more jobs. It's going to help the economy. The money will stay on the island. I don't need to pay a factory somewhere else to do it. Of course, I make one call in China and then I have that thing done. I mean, it's very simple for me, especially with the connection I have in Asia, but we still want to have as much as possible done on this island. So, but yeah, that's one part. And from the other part, for the technical perspective, we want students to come in and see what we are doing, help us with some small projects. So we want to involve them for them to learn something new, something different, but also to help us out, because sometimes what we need is just help. So you take one young guy that is now in the university and you put it next to a senior developer, for example, and what he needs is just the support, help that person needs. The student can easily provide that. So that's basically the whole the plan that we have with this prototype. So hopefully, with university, we'll manage to do something together, something nice together. I also plan maybe for next year to talk to university and say, okay, can we actually do some lessons, something about smart mobility that is something totally new at university. So to see what the students can do, and something totally different, because smart mobility, you don't see it here anywhere.
Well, with all the students from tech entrepreneurship, I think we have a nice door opening for you over there. We are going into our last 5 minutes, so I just want to do a round check and see who else has a question, remark, complaint. This is your chance. I'm going to start with Janne.
No remarks, no complaints. Great presentation. So, no, I think it's interesting topics and interesting perspectives. So Luigi from Italy basically traveled all around. Jocelyn from the United States, and but I think it's still interesting that we still have quite similar experiences. That's my key takeaway. Despite the fact that we're all from different places, all over the world, we kind of have the similar experience on this island. So that means something. So for those that watching this, please take it into consideration.
Yep.
Thank you.
The joke that I make many times is that we are more an export of digital nomads than an import island of digital nomads. And what I notice that the people that go live abroad many times also experience that. Jocelyn, Any last words, experience that you want to share with us?
No, I think one of the things that's most exciting to me is one of the challenges for the island is that a lot of amazing talent goes to Holland because they have to go there to find jobs. And I think it's exciting that we don't have to leave to be able to find income. Just you can do it from here. And I think that whether you're employed by someone else or employed by yourself, either way, that's very exciting that you could still live in a tropical paradise and make a great living without having to rely on the jobs here, right? We can kind of create jobs for the island that aren't even here just by being able to work remotely. So for me, I think that's a huge opportunity and it gets me excited. And for the students that are on here, keep that in mind. I think just knowing your options, knowing this is even a possibility can totally change your future. So if I can ever be of assistance, anyone can reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
We are definitely going to keep you that. As someone make a note of that. Luigi, you have any last words, comment?
Oh, I think it was super great. Just want to thank you for the opportunity and for this great platform and what you guys are creating. I think that's something that we really need. We need more and more.
Thank you very much. It's been an adventure. My partner in crime sitting down there, and that I'm going to give the word to. In March, we accidentally got in touch with each other, and I got enrolled in this whole innovation sea, not thinking at all about this roller coaster ride that came with it. And now finally, we're an official foundation, and there's so much coming, especially now with the Pionero, the talent pool. Luke, any last words before I'm gonna close this off?
Not a lot of last words, just a kind reminder to everyone. If you don't feel that you fit in the Pionero pool, although you should, anyone is welcome. You can invite anyone who might fit in. Oh, that's my puppy, by the way. She's very excited.
She also has something to say. Just for everyone, thank you so much for your participation. You can find us on our socials. If you have any questions later, you can ask them on any of the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. This will be also broadcasted for replay on our YouTube channel. We will be happy to answer any of your questions or bring you in contact with either Jocelyn or Luigi. Or Rihanna or Luke or myself in that for that matter. If you want to support us, you can make a donation on our PayPal innovationcure@gmail.com. And of course, this whole program has been sponsored and powered by Curaçao. You can find us on Curaçao.io. Please join us over there as well. I'm going to thank all the speakers, my co-host that has been with me for the last 3 sessions, my partner in crime that has been with me for almost 13 sessions now, Luke Weber, all the participants in the chat, thank you for being there, thank you for your contribution, and I hope to see you all soon in the next edition.
Great, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.